Can you do your best Travolta?
No.
That was pretty good. He has to convey without any dialogue how his son died. And how does he do it?
And he got a fucking question wrong at a spelling bee.
and you have to take for account that John Travolta's face doesn't move anymore.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like sperm is sucked back like this.
Hey everybody, welcome to Rotted Podcast, a podcast where we give fresh perspective to films with 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm Chase. And I'm Adam. So we just watched Gotti from 2018.
Ooh, boy did we. We went to a movie theater for this particular experience, as it is an enema at the cinema. One of the most unique movie-going experiences I've ever had. Would you agree?
Yeah, we were on a shoot in Houston filming some alligators.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
And we decided, what are we going to do the night beforehand? Let's go watch Gotti.
Yeah, we got to see what all the buzz is about. We roll up, and there's like 3 cop cars there, like K9, SUV units that roll up to the theater.
Oh, they cut us off.
And I'm just, at this point, just like, based on, a lot of things that are going on in America right now and past events, with movie theaters, I was like, Chase, maybe we should just hang outside for a couple minutes, just see how this pans out. And sure enough, an ambulance tears up the street, parks, and then the 2 guys get out, the EMTs.
Casually walk in.
Just a nice stroll. Yeah. They just stroll on in, and we're like, okay, so I guess this isn't a big deal. We get into the theater, and they haven't cleaned the theater since the last time. There's only 2 other people in the theater when we got in, and it wasn't, our decision of where we were going to sit was literally because where was the least amount of trash. There was about 12 people in the movie.
Packed house.
Yeah, about 5 of them walked out by the end of it. The first 2 girls who were in there when we got in, they walked out within the first 18 minutes. We both clocked that when they just got up and left, and we were like, yeah, totally don't blame you.
Yeah.
Wish I was there with you. And then when the movie was finally over, the house lights came up and one of the bulbs burned out right as they were coming up. And that felt like a nice bookend to this experience.
Oh, and we should say one of the ladies that walked out started walking out of the theater, hit her ankle on one of the seats, cringes for a minute, stands there oh God, I can't move, like when you get bad Charlie horse.
She definitely took away the attention from the film, and honestly, I was much more intrigued by what was going on with her.
And then she just sits back down.
Yeah.
She lost her will to leave.
Either. She just sat back. Yeah, she lost her will to move. She just sat where she was. It was a weird experience, and the movie was awful, so it was very appropriate for this experience. Let's talk about Gotti.
Let me tell you something. New York is the greatest city in the world. My city.
We are a podcast that does 0% movies on Rotten Tomatoes, which this is a part of.
Yes,
and on the podcast, we ask tough, hard-hitting questions like...
will you watch the hair?
We just watch the hair.
Here's my question. Is Kevin Connelly the least talented member of the Pussy Posse?
Yes.
Okay, let's go through them all, because I think so too. But Leonardo DiCaprio, obviously. Tobey Maguire, more talented.
Cider House Rules. I mean, you can't compete with that.
Yeah, Spider-Man 2.
Oh my God. Good.
Then we got David Blaine, who's the most talented of all of them.
Yeah,
probably.
No introduction or words needed.
He shrunk your effing car! What the hell? Your effing car! You shrunk my Honda, you bitch!
And then even Lucas Haas, I think, is more talented than Kevin Connelly.
Yeah.
And if you don't know Kevin Connelly, he plays E in Entourage.
He's got a few directing credits to his name. He did a couple episodes of Entourage, but you wouldn't guess that he had any common sense after watching this, because the direction in this is god awful. The pacing, the music choices, the scoring choices, the visual choices, the everything. Let's just get into it.
So this film was also written by a John Gotti Wikipedia article. I haven't read the John Gotti Wikipedia article, but it seems like you would just take the paragraphs and just throw them in Final Draft and then just...
Which, if this is the first film to be written by AI, then I think that they should lead with that in promotion.
Yeah,
be like,
exactly.
Hey guys, a robot wrote this movie.
Yeah.
Come on, a bot. It's like he condensed, how the Reddit bots, will condense an article and they'll post it in the comments and be like, I am a bot. This is, article was 43% condensed. That's
TLDR.
basically what they did with this.
Yeah. This film hits all the check marks that we try to do for films. It's got 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. Something I'm very passionate about, which is melodramatic true crime stories. Mm-hmm. And then it also has extremely shady marketing practices, which we'll get into probably on the next episode, because I think there's too much to just do this in one video episode. It'll all be together on the podcast.
I will say it's fitting that a mob movie has shady practices surrounding its release, you know?
We talked about the score a little bit. It's the score was done by Pitbull.
Yes.
And they decide, like...
Yes, the Pitbull.
So much of this is like directly ripped off of like a Goodfellas, you know, that type of mob movie.
Yeah.
Where it is playing the classic songs of the time. Like Goodfellas does it great. This does that, but then it also does a Knight's Tale type thing where it plays modern music in the time period.
Yeah, and it's really distracting a lot. And the really big bad thing about the music choices in this is that, like, the music plays at all the wrong times. It almost prevents you from feeling anything for the characters because the music is so overwhelming, it's hitting you over the head. Many times when somebody's dying, when there's, like, a violent, you know, scene, they'll just... like cut almost all diegetic noise out of it and just play the song. And it's like, if you even wanted to like go into that scene, they just rip you out of it to like keep you at a distance. Why do that?
The first stuff is like in the 70s and it's like John Travolta's happy and then it starts playing fucking Pitbull. It's like...
in hand with the musical choices is these cuts to actual footage of John Gotti.
Sure.
I do want to talk about these. Throughout the film, they're constantly cutting to footage of John Gotti, the real John Gotti, and not like inserting John Travolta into real scenes kind of way and not recreating that time and feel with John Travolta. They're literally just cutting to images and video footage of John Gotti and his family and the people around him. And it's like, for anyone that's walking into this that doesn't know what Gotti looks like, I mean, you can guess after, you know, the first minute of footage, you know, which one he is, but at first you don't even fucking know which one he is. So, like, they're really pulling the viewer out of it at this point.
So they're cutting in this real life footage, which already it's like when you instantly cut from the real John Gotti to John Travolta as Gotti, John Travolta doesn't look totally bad, and I think actually the makeup is all right on him. I never really notice it.
It's fine.
But it is still abrupt that you're cutting like real life footage into them. Like you're supposed to like maybe bookend with the real life footage, and not
at
just
the end
keep
of the
cutting.
Movie, bookend it with that. Don't keep putting it throughout the movie, especially at points when you're trying to like get some emotion out of your audience. Like between this and the music, like who could give a fuck?
Plus the opening of all the real life footage is just him walking in and out of courtroom. It's just him walking. There's nothing at all interesting about the footage. And this movie is proud of John Gotti. It's very pro mob, pro Gotti.
It idealizes him totally, or idolizes, I guess. In so many ways. And you also never see any of the shady dealings. Like you don't see anything about what he went through to build the mob empire, or any of the 5 families in the Gambino family, or whatever the 5 districts of that. Like you don't see any of the work that these guys went through to get where they are. They just focus on a few major deaths. And
they have a couple mob hits, but the rest is mostly family drama, I would say. Yeah. Between him and his son,
and Kelly
John
Preston.
Gotti.
Kelly Preston, John Travolta's wife, is also in the film. She's doing what she can here. Her accent throws me a lot.
He's just being nice to your son.
Don't make me repeat myself, Victoria, and you...
I mean, John Travolta, obviously, he can pull off that accent pretty well, that Long Island New York thing.
It is his accent.
It's him.
Yeah. And I think most of the acting is fine. I don't think acting is really an issue here.
Yeah, but the tone of it is just not set. Yeah. So, like, it kind of makes the acting kind of misplaced.
Let's talk about this. There was 41 producers, I believe. Is that right?
Oh, my God,
There was over 40. I'm not exact on the number, but there are so many producers. Yeah, 44 maybe. And it keeps, so it's like title scene and then doing all these producers. And then instantly from that, it starts introducing the mob characters throughout it by just doing a subtitle underneath them.
Yeah.
And I thought this was producers. I thought it was still doing producers when it was like Jeff the Bull Durham,
right.
you know?
Tony Pepperoni Laplano. And you're like, what? Okay, so it also says at the very end of the film that took 15 ADAs, right? Like assistant district attorneys or something. Like people in the district attorney's office. It took 15 of them to bring down John Gotti to work on his case. They had they threw 15 at John Gotti Jr., I think is what it was. They had fucking, what is that? Like
3 times?
3 times as many producers on this film as they had attorneys working against them. So there was 9 companies. We counted the companies, and I think there was 9 production company logos that start the movie. That's a very bad sign when your film starts that way.
Well, and John Travolta's been attached to this film since, 2010 at least.
So he's been working personally to shop this around for a long time.
It was supposed to be him, and Pacino was attached at one time. Pesci was attached at one time.
Who is supposedly, allegedly still in an ongoing lawsuit with them.
Oh, yeah. He is suing for $3 million, which is double of what it made opening weekend.
Yeah, and a third of the budget of it, pretty much.
And why is he suing them? What?
Well, so supposedly he gained a bunch of weight, and he thought he was going to be playing the role of Angelo, is that right?
Joe Pesci gained weight to be on this.
Yeah.
He's had a 20-year acting hiatus, but he gained weight for just this film.
But yeah, there was many names attached to this. Lindsay Lohan was attached to this. There's a ton of people. This thing has been in production hell, until pigs could fly. And apparently they flew, and this is what we got.
I mean, the first Rotten Tomatoes user review was written in 2011 for this film, and it's obviously 5 stars. I don't think this is John Travolta's worst movie. I'd say, can we get into this controversy real quick?
Yeah,
so the AV Club wrote an article. This is big for me. So AV Club wrote an article and said John Travolta's in his 3rd 0% movie in Rotten Tomatoes.
Right.
Now we already when we saw this movie 0% had done research and saw that he was in 4 0% movies.
Yeah.
He's in
Staying Alive. Look Who's Talking Now. Life on the Line. Which
stay tuned, we're doing that next.
Yeah, and this.
So that's 4 0% movies.
Mm-hmm.
So I write to the guy, I'm like, hey, you might want to look on Rotten Tomatoes. You missed out on the last film that he's made,
which was last year.
And
what happened?
He denied my comment, or whoever runs the AV Club. Big controversy here. I know it doesn't fucking matter.
Huge controversy, guys.
But I've seen
this is what we're talking about. This is what we're dealing with.
I write this. I send it. It's a very, very nice, quick comment. It's like, hey, you might want to check Rotten Tomatoes. He's been in 4 0% movies. I don't know if you can change the article.
Nice. So nice, so unassuming.
And then I said, but good article nonetheless. So I looked up the next day, and there had been 20 other comments that had been written from that article that he had actually even responded to. Thanks, all the good stuff.
Yeah.
But they're censoring anything that's negative about it, which it wasn't even negative. It's just do your fucking research.
Yeah, AV Club.
So I'm calling you out, AV Club.
Yeah.
I'm going to...
We're coming for you.
Not really. It was a good article. Good job, but do a little bit of research.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, he has been in worse films. I think that Battlefield Earth is probably worse than this. Wild Hogs, Old Dogs,
yeah.
all those rhyming films.
Yeah, Battlefield Earth
is,
I think, probably worse than this. Yeah, I mean, that movie's so hard to watch.
Perfect is really bad. Remember that Jamie Lee Curtis film?
Mm-hmm.
So he's been in a lot of bad films. I think he's giving a performance. He's committed to this role, and he's giving it all he can.
He is.
Without being able to move his face.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard when you have that, that much plastic surgery. I mean, what are you to do?
For sure. All right, so let's get into some of the... Here's a couple right here. Let's just read these to end this video. So they actually created a teaser trailer for this that was hey, audiences love it. 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, but critics hate it.
Right.
Well, let's stop these trolls from behind their computers.
Yeah, trust the people and see it for yourself. They said, the question is why?
Yeah, they're acting okay, because this is a true crime movie that shows him in a positive light, that's why critics hate it. That's not why critics hate it. Critics aren't it's not a moral reason for critics to all hate it. It's because it's a bad film.
It just fucking sucks. It's a shitty movie. And that's why anybody would hate it.
But in turn, it's also really fun to hate on this film. And some of the critics' writings are pretty good. How about this one? I'd rather wake up next to a severed horse head than ever watch Gotti again.
Yeah. You might think this sounds hilariously bad. It must be so bad that it's kind of good, right? Wrong. Gotti is not remotely funny, even ironically.
I don't know if I completely agree with that. Well, thanks for joining us on this part. We'll be back really soon with a little bit more on the Rotten Tomatoes controversy of it, which I find fascinating. I stayed up for 3 hours last night, and I read every single 5-star review, and there is a conspiracy going on, and I'm not exactly sure what it's about, but we can kind of figure that out next episode. So,
oh my God!
Rate and review us. Subscribe to us down there on YouTube. That really helps us out. We're going to try to put a lot more of our podcasts out on YouTube and kind of film it like this.
Yeah.
Hopefully you guys like it.
At all.
Yeah, we might be a little awkward right now, but we're going to get better.
Yeah, that's, and cheers to that.
Cheers.
Stay Gotti, everybody.
You gotta be kidding me.